Have you ever said, I can't float, or you need to float in order to swim? Or maybe you have told that to a person, if you're a teacher, that everybody starts with floating, or everybody can float, or some people can't float. Let's find out today what you need to know to really build your trust in your natural buoyancy. Not trying to make yourself like somebody else. That is never a good equation in the adult world, to try and be somebody else. You're you. You're perfect. You're amazing. So let's figure out how to trust in your own natural buoyancy. Just popped out of the pool to pop in and see, would you love to share Calm Within Adult Swim with your friends or your students? We have an affiliate program. Pop down on the links, see if it's right for you to earn a little commission and share a little love. We're going to use 3 different areas. We're going to talk a little bit about the science of floating, blocks to floating, and the 3 main floating positions. Let's go. So let's talk about the science of floating real quick here. 3 main points about the science of floating. 1, to float, you have to be in the water. So if you are thinking about being out of the water, or floating is supposed to be up and out and near the surface and it's supposed to take you out somehow, then you're going to be fighting that natural buoyancy. In order for something to float, it's got to be in the water. So the more comfy we are, the more we understand about our face and being under the water and just loving being down there, the more your natural buoyancy is going to come forward and you're going to be able to relate to it. The other thing, there are 2 more pieces to know about the science of floating, which is what in your body floats and what doesn't float. So things that float are less dense than the water. That's how it works. Things that are more dense than the water don't float. Things that are less dense do float. Here's the big one. Lungs, air. You know, if you blow bubbles through a straw into your drink, it's just gonna float up to the top. If I blow bubbles above my drink, it's not gonna float, it's just gonna be in the air, right? But I have to blow the bubbles in the water and then they come up to the surface because air floats, it's less dense. The other thing that floats up is oil, butter, fat. All of those places on your body, you get to love up all that fat. It's a good thing when it comes to swimming. Just love that up. The thing that doesn't float are things that are denser. So your muscles. Muscles are denser than the water. If I drop a piece of steak in, down to the bottom it goes. The other thing that for most people is denser than the water, is more dense than the water. I might be saying this densely myself. Anyways, are your bones. And I say for most people because some people do have lighter bones. They are less dense, called osteoporosis. That's for another conversation. But depending on the density of your bones, most people's their bones are more dense than the water. This actually is why children, even skinny children, will be buoyant because their bones aren't as calcified yet. Their bones aren't as dense as an adult's bones. And then I think there comes a tipping point in adult bones where they start to lose their density. So depending on where you're at in that, cycle of adultness that you're in. Why this is important to know this science is to know not all parts of your body are created equally. Not all parts of your body are going to float at the same place. Some parts of your body, hands and feet, are going to droop and dangle and not be particularly buoyant. That's okay. This is the normal science of floating. It's how it works. The more you know about it, the more your buoyancy will feel natural to you. So you're not fighting what's actually happening, the science. We don't need to fight it. All right, let's go to the second area. What is going to block you from floating, block you from really understanding, feeling, being connected to your natural buoyancy? One of the main blocks that I see is a lot of tension. So people think, if I'm tense, then I won't float. That's not quite it. What the tension does is it blocks our experience of floating. If we kind of think about floating, we think of it as being this like passive thing. Oh, I'm going to float away on cloud 9. So the more tense we are, physically, emotionally, energetically, the less we're going to experience our float. The tension doesn't change your buoyancy unless you squeeze all the air out of your lungs, but it doesn't change the physics, it changes your experience of it. The other thing that changes your experience of floating, of your buoyancy, is your beliefs that it's supposed to be a particular way. Because we're spending more time looking for, thinking about how we think it's supposed to be. But when we're teaching beginning adults, when you are a beginning adult, you frankly don't really know how it's supposed to be. That's what you're there to discover. So when we keep trying to make it be something, we miss out on discovering what it is. And the third piece that really blocks us is thinking about that all parts of our body should be near the top or should have equal amounts of buoyancy. Remember about the science? Hands and feet, they sink down. This is normal. The only part we care about is your mouth, your breathing centers. That's the only part that we care about, where it is relative to the surface. And when you're figuring out what your natural buoyancy is, we don't even care about that. Let it be way down. You're going to play with this in a place that it's totally safe for you to sink to the bottom. Not in the 8 feet to start with or the 10 feet. Start where it's 100% okay to go all the way to the bottom. So you have a way to get your mouth back out to take that breath when you want to take your breath. But we really don't care where your hands and feet are. They are never going to breathe for you. It really doesn't matter if they're low. When we get to moving and doing other things, we're just really caring where your mouth is. Now, to start to trust our natural buoyancy, the third area I want you to know about that's important is to understand the 3 main floating positions. We have front float, we have a vertical float, and we have a back float. The key to this is all about that head. It's all about the head. Where is the head? If my eyes are in my head, are looking at the floor, my head is down, I've let go of my neck, that is front float. When my eyes are up, I let my head fall back, that is back float. When my eyes are straight forward, this is vertical float. Now notice I'm saying it's all about the head. It's not about where your feet are. It's not about where the rest of your body is. Not that front float is this and back float is this and vertical float kind of is this. But it's just about the change in my head position. It's just letting the head drop, holding the head, there's a little tension in a vertical float, and letting my head drop. The whole body is going to follow where the top of your head goes. It's not that one is right or wrong, or that you become more buoyant or less buoyant or anything like that. Your buoyancy is simply a physics equation about density in your body. Less dense, more dense. Tension takes away from the feeling of it. Head position dictates how we define the float as front float or back float or vertical float. Bringing in curiosity for yourself as a student or as a teacher, this is the key to having things feel natural and to connect to your perfect, beautiful, amazing swimmer body that you have right now. Can't wait to hear about your progress. Ask me your questions. Put them down in the notes here. What do you want to know about? What other things can I answer for you? Aloha!